to Good Libations, which is our show about making truly fine drinks with different nuances and different twists to them, and always with fresh ingredients. And I'm Ethel Andrews, I'm a mixologist. And you know, on the show, on previous shows, I should say, we've demonstrated the making of mojitos and various different martinis and whiskey sours and kind of a wide variety of drinks. And we always want to emphasize that we could always upgrade drinks and put different nuances on them as long as what we do works with the base alcohol. Because again, you may produce something esoteric, but it may be so esoteric that it's odd. So what we want to do is we're going to make, to begin with, what I might call an upgraded mojito. And we're going to muddle strawberries in that mojito along with the typical ingredients. And it just kicks it up a notch. And the strawberries have enough tartness in them that you don't have an insipid sweet beverage. And you know, with mojitos, pretty much any fresh fruit, again, that goes with rum is going to work. Pineapple could be used. Certain types of berries could be used quite successfully. I would say not blueberries, perhaps, but other ones like raspberries and even blackberries would work. And tangerines could be used. And also, this way we're avoiding adding different syrups and stuff, which will make the mojito too sweet. And I actually prefer to do the muddling in a base of sugar rather than use simple syrup. And if I use simple syrup, I make it myself by boiling down the sugar with water. And one of these times on the show, we're going to demonstrate exactly how that is done. And another thing too, other drinks that we've demonstrated, like certain martinis, they can be made better, they can be made with different twists added to them. And in actuality, we have never demonstrated an appletini, and to a certain degree, they have kind of fallen out of popularity. But when you make an appletini, in addition, of course, to the sour apple pucker, you need to add lemon juice, and not, you know, any sort of a fake concoction that has a lemon base, but actual lemon juice. And you want to add, you know, a little bit maybe of sugar to that, although with the sour apple pucker, that shouldn't be an issue. But to make it just a bit different, if we cut the amount of the sour apple pucker in half and add cinnamon schnapps, we have a drink that has a different dimension to it. And we have an ingredient that kind of makes it taste a bit like an apple pie, but without a cloying flavor. And that's just a suggestion when it comes to appletinis, to upgrade them a bit. And the same thing with a cosmopolitan. If in addition to the typical ingredients, which is usually triple sec and of course vodka, and instead of using cranberry juice cocktail, it's always better to use, I personally feel, cranberry juice that's unfiltered. But also if you add fresh orange to that, or add a little bit of creme de cassis liqueur, or both, you have a superior cosmopolitan, and people can't quite figure out why it's so different, but it tastes so good. But those are just suggestions. And also on this show, we demonstrated the making of a pomegranate martini, which is, you know, basically just pomegranate juice, triple sec or Cointreau, and of course vodka. But if you add blood orange to that, or blood orange soda, just a bit of it, you have a unique pomegranate martini that tastes so much better and so much different. But anyway, we are going to demonstrate once again the making of a mojito, but with the added ingredient of fresh strawberries. And again, one important note too, the mint is washed, all the fruit is washed. We should always properly wash everything that we use in making drinks. We don't want to have people have the added ingredient of pesticides in their drink. And also, if we're working at a bar where there is no bar sink, perhaps at an outdoor type of a venue in someone's backyard, we want to make sure that we have hand sanitizer and that we have a large bowl of, you know, not scalding hot water, but hot water and paper towels so that we can keep our hands clean and keep utensils clean, and also another bowl that we could rinse things in. These are important things when it comes to basic hygiene and keeping your bar area and your mixology clean. But at any rate, we're going to start demonstrating that mojito. And as per usual, it's always nice to use this style of a glass. And this is a nice style for tropical drinks, I think, of any sort, whether they come from the Caribbean or from the Pacific Rim. And again, what we want to do first of all is we want to tear up our fresh mint. And, you know, we want to use plenty of leaves. And if we run short on the leaves, of course, we can put stems in there too, because they will still have those nice mint oils in there. And we don't want to be ungenerous about the amount, again, that we tear up and put in there, because we want that mint flavor to permeate. And again, I emphasize it's important that it be fresh mint, because then the flavor is really going to go through. Stale mint lacks those oils, so that outstanding characteristic of the mint is not going to come through no matter how much we muddle it. And also, when we muddle, once again, we want to make sure that we muddle in a base of rum and sugar and mint, and in this case, we're going to muddle also in the base of strawberry. And we want to make sure that we have a decent amount of rum, because we want the flavor to be there, not to be so subtle that you can barely pick it out, but not to be so obnoxiously there either that it overpowers the drink. And then, again, we want to add our sugar. And because sugar does not dissolve, as you might say, efficiently as simple syrup, we want to make sure that we add quite a bit of it. And again, I prefer to use sugar because that granulation, you know, helps pulverize the mint a bit better. And again, I'm using a fake muddler. I do have a real muddler, but so many do not have an actual muddler. And this simply proves the point that you don't have to have every single bar tool that need be. In fact, it's not necessary to have it. You could use other things that work equally well. And to begin with, before I add the strawberries, I'm going to muddle the mint. And again, we do this to bruise the mint just enough that we can extract those essential oils and that they permeate the drink, but not so much so that we pulverize it, because then you over-extract, bruise the mint too much, and the drink is sullied, you might say, by, you know, overdoing the technique. And then, again, we want to add the strawberries. Now, a strawberry mojito, I think, is interesting. I think it adds an added dimension to the drink, an added dimension of interest, of flavor, and of uniqueness. And again, strawberries do blend with the base liquor, with the rum. We want to get that end of the strawberry cut off, and then we want to cut it into slices that are user-friendly, you might say, for making that strawberry mojito. And usually, one average-sized strawberry is fine. That's adequate. Adding too much, again, it's going to take away from the taste of the mint, and you're just going to have a drink that's going to taste like strawberries and not enough like the mint and the lime. So we can add those strawberry bits in there, just enough of them. And then again, we're going to muddle it. And I tried not to overdo the mint because it's getting a going through again. And with the strawberries, you might have to kind of mash them a little bit against the side of the glass, as well as use the bottom of the glass like you typically would do with the mint. And again, you want to pulverize it enough that you can get the flavor, and your clue is going to be with the strawberries that you're going to start to really smell them. And the same thing with the mint. Now at this point in time, what we want to do is add some of the lime. And I'm going to put the strawberry bits aside because I'm going to use part of it as an actual garnish. And with the lime, we want to quarter them. And another thing too, when you get batches of lime, try to endeavor to see that they're soft. because then you'll be able to extract the juice. And of course, when you cut into them, as I just did, that wonderful redolent smell of the lime is going to come across. And what we want to do is we want to hand squeeze 2 of these quarters to begin with into the mojito. And then after we do that, we're going to add ice, a bit of ice. And then at the end, we're going to add more lime and more ice. And again, put the spent shell in the drink, because those oils are going to infuse again with the whole concoction, and it's going to taste good that way. So at this point in time, in will go some of the ice. Now, again, we'll do a little bit of stirring, just to make sure that everything is remaining even and that the alcohol is not separating. And then we want to add more lime. We want to add the other 2 quarters of the lime. And 1 quarter is a bit too big here, so I cut it. And then at this point, we want to add more ice, the other half of the ice that we would typically put in. And we've discussed this point before on many of the shows, that we want to keep our ice cold, which again sounds absurd. Well, ice is cold. But as I've mentioned before, make sure that you store your ice in such a way that it doesn't become diluted. Because if that takes place, you're going to end up with diluted drinks, or you're going to end up with less ice than you started out with. So using a bar refrigerator, or at the very least using an ice chest, will work for that purpose. It'll keep your ice nice and cold, as it should remain. And then at this point, we want to add that splash of soda to the mojito. And again, this makes the drink very, very lovely and inviting with just a bit of petulance to set it off. And yeah, trying a strawberry mojito, it's simple, but it's a nice adventure in a drink. And I usually like to add just a bit more rum at the very top. And I'm using golden rum because, as you know, I lectured before on the fact that American palates tend to prefer light rum, light-bodied rum. I actually prefer a darker rum, and a golden rum kind of serves that purpose. And I also actually prefer to use brown sugar or demerara sugar. But again, American palates are not accustomed to that in many cases, and they prefer the lighter style mojito. And then for a garnish, we can put that bit of strawberry in there, perhaps even another bit of strawberry, perhaps a bit of mint on the top, and we want to make sure that we have a bit of lime on the top as well. And now we have a lovely strawberry mojito, ready to consume and ready to enjoy. So there we go. And again, you can use pineapple, you can use tangerine, you can use other things that blend with the base alcohol, with the rum. But again, we've made a nice mojito, strawberry. Now, we're going to go a bit of a different direction, and I'm going to demonstrate another drink. Now, we had a whole show about margaritas and about the classic style of making margaritas, and also the show delved into making them for a large group without compromising, and using limeade that doesn't contain high fructose corn syrup to accomplish that purpose. And of course, you can do a lot of other things with margaritas as well. You can add tangerine juice to them from fresh tangerines. You can add fresh orange juice to them. And while it is traditional, along with the tequila, to use triple sec or Cointreau, you can use other citrus-infused liqueurs such as citronage, or you can even use curacao, orange curacao in them. But again, those are things that work with tequila. But we always want to make sure that there is fresh lime in there And some people like to add fresh lemon to their margaritas. I am not a fan in particular of doing that, but you may. I prefer to make them with lime. But again, I do feel that fresh tangerine juice that you squeeze yourself by hand and fresh orange juice that you either squeeze in by hand, or I'm departing from what I traditionally do because I like to make sure that the oils from the skins of those citrus fruits get into the drink. But you may use a juicer, and in fact we're going to use a juicer today when we make this very special but different margarita. In fact, this particular margarita has nuances of a margarita and nuances reminiscent of a martini. So you could call it a margatini. And it's called a La Vida Loca. And I think you'll enjoy it. It's different. And it has different ingredients in it. And I cannot claim the total inspiration for this drink. In fact, it comes from an upscale establishment in the Fairfax district in Los Angeles. And the bartender who invented it, Mr. Graham, or J. Graham, whoever the individual may be, really has concocted something that I think is very interesting and very good. So we're going to proceed to make it. And of course, we're going to use a martini shaker to do so. And we're going to start by filling it up again with ice from our nicely stored cold ice. Now, this is interesting because unlike some margaritas and more like a martini, when we make this drink, we want to strain it through the martini, our good old martini shaker here, because that way it's going to be made in such a way that you can really appreciate those flavors and it won't become diluted or compromised by the ice. Now, when we make this drink, it is usually made with a jalapeno infused tequila, but we're going to kind of make our own jalapeno infused tequila simply by pouring tequila in. And again, to be a little bit more, shall we say, user friendly, because I like to free pour, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate here. I'm going to fill the shaker top with tequila, and then to create and replicate, although this is best done in advance, the idea of having jalapeno infused tequila, I'm going to cut up bits of a jalapeno and I'm going to put them in the shaker, and that includes seeds and all because we want that fire to be in here. And if you do this in advance, you can let it stay in that tequila as long as you wish. Or you can simply buy jalapeno infused tequila, but I think it's more interesting to do it this way. And again, we're going to find that if we do it this way, that we can get that oil out of the jalapeno, and it's really going to give this particular drink a kick. And again, you can put as little or as much of the jalapeno in that you wish to. But of course, I like to always go a bit on the top-ended side, we'll put it that way. And with the ice, I'm going to use a muddler to kind of, get that infusion going a bit better. And then, with this drink, we want to add about half as much triple sec, or Cointreau, or again, any citrus-infused liqueur that you wish to use in the drink, about half the proportion that I used, again, of the tequila. And in addition to that, we're going to add some other interesting ingredients. We are going to juice this orange in the actual juicer. And we're not going to use all of the juice, but just a portion of it, and you'll see what I mean here. And again, Most people would use the actual top to this juicer, but I always like to do things in just a bit different manner, we'll put it that way. Now, we're going to take our shaker top, and again, we're going to fill it up about to the halfway mark with the orange juice, the fresh squeezed orange juice. And I'm going to hand squeeze a bit of it too, because again, I feel that getting that oil in there is really important. But of course, if you're making a large quantity of this drink, it's going to become imperative that you use the juicer if you're making this for a crowd of people. But anyway, right now, the shaker is filled halfway, as it was for the triple sec, and we're going to add that orange juice. And then after that, we are going to add an equal amount of a lime. And again, I generally do not do this, I avoid this, but I am going to use the juicer for the lime as well. And I'm going to need to use the other half to keep this going here. And what we're going to do at this point is fill that shaker again about halfway with the lime juice. And now, and some of you will find this very peculiar, but we are also going to add about the same amount in the shaker of olive brine. And then to complete this drink, we are going to shake it traditional martini style. And, of course, divest the contents into the martini glass. And you will find that this drink is so delicious that you won't be able to get enough of it. And the snap and bite of the jalapeno, the tequila, the 2 citrus fruits, just make this drink absolutely delightful. It's a real crowd pleaser, and it's different enough that people will be enchanted by it. And again, garnishes are important, so we are going to add a little bit of orange peel, mostly, squeeze it to get that oil out, and we're going to add a little bit of lime peel, get that oil out again. And again, this is a lovely drink, the La Vida Loca, which is a lovely, kind of a hybrid of the martini and the margarita. Now, again, when we make these drinks at home, we might want to add different flourishes of our own uniqueness in accord with our own palate to them. And that's a nice thing to do. And I measured, for the benefit of most of you, even with the Mojito, you could detect by the levels of the glass how much to put in of the various different ingredients. And you don't have to be overly precise, but those basic portions, especially with the La Vida Loca martini, are kind of important. And again, it's nice to enjoy cocktails. It's nice to get together with friends and have a party and enjoy ourselves. But keeping our community safe and well spoken of is extremely important. So make sure that as you enjoy your cocktails and your various different libations, that you do so in a sensible way that reflects maturity and responsibility to keep our community safe and well spoken of. And again, I'm Ethel Andrews, I'm a mixologist, and this is the conclusion of another episode of Good Libations. Thank you.